So thank you very much, everyone, for so eagerly coming back. So we're going to have two more, again, very important sessions to take us to the end of today. This next session is a very important topic. Financing came up, I think, in every topic that was mentioned by the previous panels and sessions. And this is banks as financial partners in the energy transition. So for this session, we have 4 speakers. So I hope they're all here now. So let me first invite Olivier Dumoulin, who is the investment platform advisor from the Financial Institutions Department of the European Investment Bank. So welcome, Olivier. Please take a seat there. Then we have Philippe Renaudin, who is the director of the Maritime Division of the Crédit Maritime Group Banque Populaire Grand Ouest. If you don't mind, Philippe, I won't read out the whole title. Merci, bonjour. Next, we have Javier Faradias, who is the Director for Blue Economy of Abanca Mar. So Javier, welcome. Thank you very much again. Merci. And then last but not least, we have Matt Stadham, who is the CFO at Fiskalab Geniton, and former director responsible for fisheries at Jyske Bank, Denmark. Mads, welcome as well. Thank you very much. So what we're going to do in this session is, first of all, we'll have some opening remarks by Olivier, and then we'll then revert back to a panel discussion, and again I will ask questions to our esteemed guests on the stage with me at this point in time. So without further ado, Olivier, please, I invite you to the lectern, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stephen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to join you today at this important milestone of the Energy Transition Partnership journey. Firstly, I'd like to thank DG Mare for the invitation to participate in this panel and to give us the opportunity to present what the EIB Group is doing in support of this sector. So let me start by saying that the EIB Group, which consists of the European Investment Bank but also of the European Investment Fund, is committed to supporting a sustainable and competitive blue economy, and more specifically the sustainable fisheries and aquaculture activities. Let me give you a few figures. The IB Group is now one of the largest financiers in the world of the blue economy sector, with about 13 billion of financing which have been provided to the blue economy activities over the last 5 years. And this has enabled to trigger a total of 66 billion of new investment. These investments have been made in a variety of sectors, including marine renewable energy, ports and shipping, pollution reduction, wastewater and desalination, blue biotechnology, and ocean monitoring technologies. In addition to this, the sustainable fisheries and the aquaculture activities have benefited for a bit more than 400 million euros of financing over the same period, which has supported a total of 1.1 billion of new investments. And these investments were mostly done in the sustainable aquaculture systems and also in the cold chain and processing upgrades. So generally, the project that the EIB is supporting must meet sustainability requirements to align with the principles and the goal of our climate bank roadmap, of the EU taxonomy and the Paris Agreement. Now, we have heard about the challenges that the sector is financing, and to help the actors to address these challenges, the EIB has expanded its product offering over the last years in terms of financing solutions and in terms of advisory solutions. So if you allow me, I'd like to briefly describe some of them. So starting with the financing solutions and the financing of SMEs, so the smaller scale financing, we have created a new credit line dedicated to blue economy. So this is a credit line that we provide to banks at favorable interest rates, and that is used to finance SME investment in the blue economy sector. So this includes, obviously, the sustainable fisheries and aquaculture sectors. So the idea of this product is to give the financing to the banks at favorable conditions, and the bank will pass on these financing conditions to the SME client. So this instrument so far has been used outside of the EU mostly, but we signed last week an important operation in Iceland with a local bank for 100 million euros. So it's a new credit line that will be specifically financing sustainable fisheries and aquaculture activities. So we are actively promoting this envelope in the EU, and we have already received mark of interest from a number of banks in a number of EU member states. So we hope to be able to sign new operation relatively soon, and the feedback we received from the bank was quite positive in terms of the investment they could finance with this credit line. So in terms of fishing vessel modernization or energy efficiency upgrades, sustainable aquaculture systems, or port side electrification, and cold chain and processing improvements. In terms of what we call this indirect financing, so that go through banks, our partner company, the EMFAF, is also providing guarantees, and this was referred to in the previous panel. And these guarantees are provided under the InvestEU program. One of them, the sustainability guarantee, which is widely subscribed by the European banks, can potentially cover some activities in this sector. And I'd like to mention two products that are direct form of financing. So the first one is the venture debt product. So it's a financing instrument that is targeting innovative companies which are still in their growth and scaling up phase, which have innovative products. And there, the IB is providing this long-term financing, but with some specific form of remuneration that support the higher risk profile of the companies. And in this sector, this product has been used already for aquaculture activities. The second one is a bit different. It's a product that we provide to national or regional authorities, and that they use to co-finance their EMFAF program. So in case their EMFAF resources are too limited to finance the investment they have inside, they can borrow from us and co-finance these investments with this envelope. And this has also been used already in the fishery and aquaculture sector. Last financing tool I'd like to mention is the equity, which is very important for company development. And in this field, the EIF, with the support of the European Commission, has supported a number of funds, so 13 so far, so funds that have been selecting following a very strong due diligence process, and also being funded by the EIF. And this has had the benefit to further develop the ecosystem for equity investments in the EU. So we speak here about 200 million of funds mobilized from public and private sources. So this is for the financing side. Now, what we try to do is also to provide advisory solutions to our partners, so to the financial intermediaries we work with, but also to our borrowers when we lend directly to them. And here, let me just stress out three programs that we are putting in place, or that we have put in place. So the first one that you may know already, the Blue Champions Pilot Advisory Program, which was aimed to support the scale-up companies in their innovative phase. This was used in the aquaculture sector. The Green Gateway Advisory Program, which is a program that we put in place in favor of our financial intermediaries. This is also supported by the Commission, by DG Klima. And this provides support to our clients in implementing green finance. So this is not specifically blue, but there are a number of overlaps, obviously. And there, this program could be enhanced and expanded to the blue economy sector. So we put in place IT tools to help the bank to identify, assess, report on the project, but also we can do bilateral missions with them to really help them understand the sector and develop their product. The last advisory platform or initiative I'd like to present is the Fee Compass platform. So you may know that shared management funds can be used in the form of financial instruments. So it's today a tiny share of the cohesion policy, but still about 20 billion in total. And since 10 years, we have been providing technical assistance to the managing authorities, to their implementing bodies, to create these instruments and to put them in practice. And this includes DG Mare, this includes EMFAF resources. And under this platform, my colleagues have completed recently a new study, which is really focusing on the financing needs of the sector we are discussing today, on the investment barriers, on the existing landscape financial instruments, so what exists with EU funds, with national money, and how things could be improved and scaled up. So this study builds notably on a number of interviews that have been conducted with market actors, notably financial institutions. And the idea is here to assess, as I said, the market, the needs, and to make some recommendations. So I'd like just to finish by unveiling a few of the findings and the recommendations that this study is stressing. So first, in terms of finding, and it's not a surprise, obviously, this has been said many times, the sector is characterized by high urgent needs, investment needs for fleet modernization, decarbonization, aquaculture, expansion, cold chain, and processing infrastructure development. But obviously, there are still persisting bankability barriers, which are linked to the volatility of the revenue of the sector, some uncertainty in terms of regulation, and also the insufficient collateral at the SME level. So this results in critical gap in the financing available to the company, and notably in terms of working capital availability. And the companies lack the investment readiness to really engage in new projects. There is also a quite limited use of the EMFAF financial instrument I was mentioning before. Only 2 member states have developed such instruments. It's Estonia for an existing one, and Finland for one which is coming. So the recommendation would be first to act on this, to strengthen the EMFAF-linked financial instruments, whether they would be at the EU level or the national level. Deploy the blended finance approach, which means combining the grants and the repayable source of finance. So this is something which is gaining a lot of momentum in the other financial instruments using other shared management funds. So given the difficulties of the sectors, this could be applied here. Expand the technical assistance at the level of the project promoters to improve their financial literacy, and also to help prepare the projects. Coordination would be key as well between the various actors. And last point would be to try and pilot innovation-friendly models, notably in the field of the financing of new low-emission vessels. So this study will be soon published, will be available on the FI Compass website, so I think will be easy to download for you. I'll stop here. Thank you very much for your attention, and happy to take any questions at the panel or later. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivia. That's great. So, as Olivia mentioned, again, please use Slido and vote on questions. They can either be to Olivier directly or to the panel as a whole, of course. And Olivia, you're welcome to also react to the responses from our distinguished panelists, other panelists as well. So what I'm going to do is to ask our other panelists questions. So I'm going to first we're going to look at banks' approach to finance sector. Then we're going to look at how investment is assessed. And then we're going to ask what advice you can give to the sector and indeed to policymakers in that respect as well. And as I say, hopefully with time, we'll also look at some of the Slido questions, and then I'll have a final round-robin question to all of you. So if I can start on the bank's approach to finance the sector, and I'd like to first ask Philippe the question here. So, Philippe, how are your banks supporting the sector in its energy transition? And what are the limitations to the bank's support for the energy transition?
Okay,
Please.
well, thank you for the invitations. And I'm going to try to speak my best English, but apologize if not the case. Just a few words about the French fisheries market before to answer the question. The average age of the French fleet approximately like in the Europe, 30 or 35 years. Also with the technical methods of the early 1990s, without decarbonization consideration. That is one of the problems. The French fishing is artisanal. individuals fishery business and small vessels. More than 80% of the boat or vessels are below 12 meters. Approximately, and challenges are very important for fishery vessel, less for aquaculture. Maybe because aquaculture is important, but challenges are with water quality, climate calamity. But the problem of decarbonization is very important for fishery. What support of the bank? We have our classical activities with financing fishing company. We support some prototypes like electrical diesel. Technical adaptation of the vessel, new motorization, new fishing gear. For example, we have one of project is IBA. IBA, it's in Brittany region. It's similar to the Eye to Life we see this morning in Spain. It's a project with hybrid engine, electrical diesel, with implantation of sensors during 1 year to understand well the consumption phase, and not only the engine, but also fishing gear, boat propeller, and speed regulation. And the goal is to save between 20 or 25% of full consumption. So it's one of our activities to financing this project, and we develop too an investment fund dedicated to maritime activities, not only fishing but activity maritime. And for us, it's more than 35 million in different funds like Mer Invest or Impact Ocean Capital. But it's quite difficult to invest in fishing business because it's small business, as I said just before, a lot of small ship owners, and fishing activity is not very profitable for investment fund. So we do business with other actors like fishmongers, distributors, manufacturers, or local communities to support this activity. We have in France a specificity with the launch of an investment fund carried by CMA CSGM. I'm sure you know it, one of the major shipping company. It's a Pulse fund with 200 million to invest for decarbonization of shipping activities, global fishing activity, shipping activities, and which 20 million only for fishing business and to support project. It's one of the initiatives in France, and we have other initiatives. So it's the first answer how to support this sector, and what are the limitations?
Oh, okay.
No, maybe after.
Perhaps we can come back to that, if you don't mind.
Fine.
So thank you very much also for expriming in English, mais si vous voulez, vous pouvez exprimer en français aussi, comme vous voulez. Let's move on to assessing investment now, and here I'm looking to you, Javier, and the question I have for you is, what do you consider when assessing a fishing or aquaculture business before providing a loan? What are the key indicators that you would look for when assessing a fishing business, please?
So, thank you very much. So, thank you for inviting me for this roundtable, and congratulations for include the financial analysis on this high-level conference, because as Carolina Bicheva said, it is necessary to have private funds complementing the public funds in order to achieve these goals. So first of all, I have a question for everybody. So do you think that for investor it's easy to invest in the fishery sector and aquaculture? No?
Show of hands.
So I think that the answer, of course, is no, because you are like a very complex sector. No, so the good news, not Oliver tell us that there are specific instruments deployed in the market, and there are like 3 institutions there that they have their own departments to finance the sector. But because believe me, it's very complex to analyze, to convince our banks to invest in the sector. So this is a task that everybody have or will have for the future. No? What we ask for investor, no, of course, no. Equity contribution, repayment capacity, guarantees in case that the weakness of the project, strong business plan, robust business plan, and leverage balance. But I want to include that also that banks are analyzing also the business with the policy or with the how the company are evolving in the ESG indicators. No? We are including in our analysis the ESG indicators on business units, even if it's small or if it is high. But of course, as the sector is extremely complex, we rely on the experience of all the customer and clients that we have. We have more than 10,000 clients, the most of them small units and on CPR and fishery vessels and aquaculture units. No? But this experience, high experience resource in the sector, it's a strength, but also it's part of the weakness. Because I'm not pretty sure if we are like transferring this knowledge to the new generations. And I don't know if we are transferring the assets and becoming like more strong companies to face like renewal, like energy transition, like capturing talent from resources, having more power from the market. So I think that this is something that we analyze when we analyze like a proposal, and it's like a task that everybody have to do, go beyond the all structures of the proposal value. It's extremely high, but I think that the sector and all together have to think about support, like the transition to more bigger structures, not only familiar, and being capable to allocate the valuable assets and to new structures. And of course, like public instruments should be an indicator for getting this goal.
Great, thanks very much, Javi. So it's very much a sort of partnership again. This word partnership between the public funding, which can also be a guarantor or enabler in some way, and indeed, as our Director General Charlene Vicheva said, it's important also to get on board private financing because it shows a confidence as well in the sector, which is what we want also. And so in terms of showing how it can be done or what has been done, perhaps I now look to you, Mads, and in terms of the advice to the sector and policymakers that you can give. So here my question here is that, so we have seen a few cases of modernized vessels supported by the banks in Denmark. So what has made the pelagic fleet more eligible for bank support? So in a way, how did you do it?
Well, this would be a short fairy tale of how the Danish system has been transformed from 25 years ago to where we are today. And in short, the sector's ability to attract bank financing has improved through greater economic predictability, consolidation, and targeted political reforms. But first, it must be understood that at the turn of the millennium, the Danish pelagic fleet and the Danish fishing fleet in general, it was outdated, worn, and unmodernized. And for almost 25 years, no pelagic vessel has been ordered or new built. Significant improvements were needed. Quota management and modernization were called upon. And political goodwill and reforms developed in cooperation with the sector were the key. Jyske Bank's experts, they were participated directly in the negotiations, and in short, the outcome of a long political process have over time increased the bank's willingness to take risk and improve the predictability of the sector and the cash flow of the sector. And what happened is that the introduction of the ITQ system created a new economic reality. Quotes became in Denmark a long-term tradable asset class, and it allows a ship owner to plan investment, budget for expected cash volumes, and document future earnings. For a bank, it's crucial. Predictability is the foundation of lending. The new system reduced biologically and the regulatory uncertainty from a lender's perspective. And the Danish ITQ system, it basically gives a ship owners a right to buy and sell their fishing quotes and to optimize its species composition of its operations. And most importantly, quota ownership now has a 16 years rolling ownership basis, and it gives a bank a long perspective when a ship owner makes investment. Abolishing the system, that would take a political majority, so therefore it's regarded as one of the most stable ownership frameworks available at the moment. And in the beginning of 2002, the reform established that when a vessel is used as collateral, fishing quotes are now included and attached to the vessels in the security package. And directly from Section 47 in the Danish Maritime Act, it now directly governs that the bank security in such pledge is that the operational risk in the business is now directly reflected in the collateral and its value. And by combining the quota collateral from the quote and the vessel, the recovery value of the bank's mortgage, its credit risk is dramatically reduced. And before, previously, quotes were not attached to the vessels. So, over time, it's precisely this mechanism that has extended the amortization period for the loans for the industry. And we have seen extensions from 6 to 8 years of finance to 6 to 8 years of finance up to 16 years now for quotes. And the extension for vessels was from 10 to 20 years. And it makes a lot of a difference. So the ITQ system has driven consolidation, and the larger, more efficient companies have professionalized the industry. We see measurable improvements in cash flow, and it has resulted from lower production costs, better markets access through increased bargaining power, and the increased cash flow has generally been reinvested in technology and the development of selecting fishing gear, and has clearly led to a modernization of the fleet that is better equipped to meet the current market demands. And just a closing remark, the Danish system isn't perfect. Well, as the sector grows, policy needs to follow. So the change was not accidental. It was a result of specific targeted political reforms and engagement in policy making. So the fairy tale ends now. The banking is, the fishing industry is way more bankable in Denmark today than we were 25 years ago. Thank you.
Great, many thanks, Matt. So, indeed, yes. Chapeau, you can show how it can, given a good example of how it can be done indeed, yes. So, Olivier, would you like to react to what you've heard already? And actually, there are two questions which I think are sort of directed to you. And we warned you you'd get a lot of interest on which blue economy sectors has the EIB invested in more, and would EIB guarantee increased lending of private banks? So perhaps you could briefly take those questions, and then I'll come back to you, Philippe.
Yes, well, thank you for the question. So I will, for the first one, come back to what I said at the beginning of my intervention. So indeed, the IB has financed about 13 billion of investment in the blue economy sector over the last 5 years. The sectors that were supported more specifically were renewable energy for about half of it, but also submarine cables, ports infrastructure, water management, as well as fishing and aquaculture. So these were the investments. Last year, we saw the amount of investment finance picking up last year. So we had 3.5 billion of financing last year. And the share of the renewable energy was even a bit higher than that, but still very much focused on ports, water, and also fishing and aquaculture. Now the second question, I was mentioning the guarantee product that we provide in our groups, which are mostly managed by the EIF, and EIF does that under mandates from either national authorities or the European Union under InvestEU. The sustainability guarantee, I think, has been a very successful product because indeed it was covering the risk of the banks and doing it in a way that provides the first loss piece, how we call it. So meaning that the guarantee takes the first losses of a portfolio of investments. So that provides the necessary security, I would say, for the banks to enter into more risky investments, new areas. So I think that could potentially be applied to fisheries and aquaculture, but obviously this is linked to the mandate that we would get and the funds that we would get from the European Union.
Okay, many thanks. I again have the impression that when you leave the stage, you will be approached by many colleagues wanting to know more of the secrets and how to do things and where to get in more information and so on and so forth. But perhaps now, Philippe, you said you would like to say some words on limitations, if I recall. So, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I can answer the question about investment in fishing, fishery sectors. Yes, it's quite difficult with, and we have 3K topics to understand well and to give the good answer when we have a fishery project. The first point is technical. We have already said before, but what is the technological using mastery? Say propulsion, hydrogen, electrical. It's quite complicated to know exactly. And shipping boat must be efficient immediately. So it's the first point, the technical point. The second is a regulatory point, or administrative point. We have a lot of technical regulation and to allow some energy in board. And so I think the European regulation must to be evolved about this point, about the gauge boat, the size to permit evolution. And the third one, but not the less important, is the economical model. The cost of a new boat has increased sharply and do not permit to balance the economic exploitation now. It's very complicated to invest in fishing business with a low visibility of fishing capacity. Each year we have this problem with a volatile sale price, volatile Brent prices, difficulties to recruit. It's very difficult for this activity, and I think and Vincent Guéret said about it. It's necessary today to permit the possibility of public grants, public loan, public investment fund for new construction. If we don't do that, I think it can be very, very difficult for our fishing activities.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes. So you at least have one fan club member.
One fan. Thank you for the fun.
Thank you for that. You want to react to that? Because then I'm afraid we'll have to come to the closing questions.
It's very interesting that we have to capture all the sources. You know? As Matt said, okay, in Spanish, in our bank, we are like taking as a collateral, of course, the mortgage of the fishing vessel, no, but the ITQ, no, as an asset, no, the important asset of that. But of course, this kind of extra guarantees, like from the European Investment Bank, but also like maybe like not 100% refundable for European Maritime Fund could be boosted, like all the investment and of course all the energy transition, no, including like the shape of the sector.
Yeah, thanks very much, Javier. So the sands of time again are against us, I'm afraid, but. Perhaps you can leave us sort of a key takeaway message for the colleagues in the audience. So if you had, the question I will ask each of you in turn, so if you had a key message to motivate bank colleagues in other member states to support the energy transition, what would it be? This is the €1 million question almost. So maybe I can start with you, Mads, on this.
Yeah. Well, this motivation goes a little beyond just bank colleagues, but stable regulatory frameworks are essential for the fishing industry, both in the pelagic segment and across other segments. In Denmark, coexistence with small-scale fisheries are essential. It's possible. On average, 10% of the Danish quotas are specifically allocated to the coastal fisheries, but why is it relevant? Well, coexistence reduces political risk to the sector and excessive internal conflict as well within the industry, which can be politically challenging. So, moreover, about technology and gear development, that is done by the well-capitalized segment and are later then adopted by the smaller vessels. So, in Denmark, and the ITQ system is supporting both parts of the sector as they live side by side. And we need to understand both segments and industries and be politically active and push for political process from where we are at, because we are an important key to this thing. My greater motivation is that we don't only have to focus on becoming net zero, but also on the steps towards the finish line. The infrastructure isn't there yet, but sustainable solutions and reductions are within reach already. Electricity in ports or cold ironing is a good example. Ship owners experience at the moment reductions of up to 8% of their CO2 emissions. But the thing is that fleet and fishery management is where the real key is, and the reductions need to come from there. A recent study from Swedish and Norwegian authors shows analysis on how Brexit affected the performance of the emission of the Norwegian mackerel fishery. As the fleet were excluded from fishing grounds, the catch per trip halved, and thereby the trips doubled. So as a result of this fuel intensity, they more than doubled per kilo mackerel. And it's estimated that this shift required an additionally 23 million liters of fuel per year, causing an additionally 72,000 tons of CO2 per year extra. And the policy made here undid 15 years of improved fuel efficiency in the sector. And that is a lot. So, dear politicians, as long as the infrastructure to go carbon neutral just isn't there, you have to make the political deals that secure EU fisheries access to catch more fish in non-EU waters as well. It's a difficult task, but it will reduce the carbon footprint here and now dramatically. And I assure you, it will be measurable from day one, because we can see the clients' fuel consumption, and it's something to be aware of. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mats, and we can share the link to the scientific article that you referred to as well in due course for this. Yeah. Javier, the same question to you. So what are the key messages or key message that you would give to not only bank colleagues then, but as advice for getting financial support?
So the war motivates the financial sector. It's a little bit tricky. Of course, what motivates funds, investors, and banks, it's predictable profits, return, and of course to accomplish like their balance obligations of having green investments. No? So, but I think that as a continent, we are like playing another game now. We are like facing the game of maintaining our sovereign of protein. No, so I think that the sector, it's three works that we have to do. Like the sector, we have to communicate, like to have to do more analysis to share with the financial sector. It is extremely important. The public institutions have to deploy like instruments to reconvert like the structure of the sector to become more comfortable with financial instruments, but not only with that, with of course for the financial investors, so more stable rules, and of course for the banks of our investor, we have to deeply look at the sector, maintaining like these special departments that can stay close with the sector in order to maintain our performances. I have to say to our colleagues that our last 10 years performance with the sector, with the whole blue economy, it's successful with low rates on payment. So I will say to the colleagues that invest in the blue economy, it's a good option.
Oh, that's good news to hear. Yes, thank you very much, Javier. So Philippe, turn to you. So what are the key messages from your side to motivate colleagues in other member states to support energy transition?
For us, we are very, very motivated to support the fishery business, but we can't do that alone. I've already said just before. Just to take an example, we support a lot of in France, a lot of investment of new activity of maritime transport by sail. But we can do that in collective approach with private and public investor, with private and public loans, with public guarantee. So if we can do that with for the fishery activity, I'm sure we can catch a goal and of the decarbonization. So we need a collective approach.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I'm lacking very much the optimism, so that's great. I'm the eternal optimist myself, so it's good to hear. Olivier, did you want to have some final remarks yourself?
Very quickly, just to quote an Italian banker I heard last week in a similar conference about energy transition, and he said, you know, for my clients, energy transition is not anymore a matter of ESG, regulatory compliance. It's a question of competitiveness. We cannot, let's say, not continue the course because it's really a matter of competitiveness for the economy. And I think it applies as well to this sector. So here in the IB group, we are very keen to explore a way to cooperate with the commercial banks, with the Commission to support the sector further.
Super. Many thanks. Extremely important topic. And again, many thanks for spending the time and coming to share your insights with us. And it doesn't look like all doom and gloom. And, you know, there are possibilities forward and there is a will for this as well. So please, audience, please thank very much our panel on the banks. Yeah. And if you have further questions, then I'm sure they will be available to speak with you afterwards as well. So. Merci beaucoup. Thanks very much, Mats. Grazie, Amélie. Ciao, ciao. Grazie. Okay, we now move swiftly on and to our next panel. Oh, we have glass changes while I'm talking here, and the colleagues who join our panel have promised me that they will bring even more energy to the audience. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So this is a panel where we're going to take a little bit of a step back. The idea is to sort of, they've been listening very carefully to what's been going on in the different sessions. So they're going to share some insights from a broader perspective. So this is entitled Going from Local to European Cooperation, and in fact, even beyond for this. And here I'm very pleased to invite to join me on the stage Javier Garret, who is the president of EuroPesh. So please join me on stage, Javier. Thank you very much. Good question. Sit next to me. There you go. This is going to be quite a challenge for me because you will see there are 2 Javiers and 2 Claires and 1 Timo. So we're going to have some fun, I think, on this. So our other Javier is the Ojeda Gonzalez Posada, and he is the General Secretary of the Federation of European Aquaculture Producers, FEAP. So Javier, also a warm welcome. Hey. Muchas gracias. Yeah. And to mix it up a bit, now we will have Timo Hanonen, who is the Ministerial Advisor for the Finnish Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. So Timo, if you may join us, please. Thank you very much. Welcome. Please take a seat. And then we have Claire Delpech, who is the head of Fisheries and Aquaculture Unit of the OECD. So, bienvenue, Claire. Welcome. And last but not least, we have now Claire Adam, who is chargée de mission décarbonation de la flotte de pêche, directeur général pour la mer à Bretagne. Merci beaucoup. So we've got the panel here now, and as also now established, I would like to invite Kęstutis to also now give some opening remarks and some context-setting remarks, and then I will ask questions for each of the speakers, if that's okay. Yep. So please, Kęstutis.
Right, so as you can see, if you have a beautiful name, Javier or Claire, you are a factor in energy transition. That's a guaranteed pass to a panel like that. But I'm happy to be back here just briefly to say that indeed this is our last panel. And discussions have today mostly been about the outcomes of the energy transition. And the objective of the partnership has always been a constructive, open, and inclusive dialogue with all stakeholders. And looking at the present and discussions today, I think it's fair to say that not only we have created such a dialogue, but we also have a community which is growing and which is also a key factor for the success of the transition. But the discussions of the transition have gone beyond the energy transition partnership alone. Over the last 3 years, they are an important theme discussion of the future of the fisheries and aquaculture sector in Europe altogether. And that's why in this panel, it is a great pleasure to explore indeed how the transition ideas that we have been sharing with each other have influenced discussions within the fisheries and aquaculture sector and also within regional, national, and international instances. The Commission has had a long-standing and constructive working relationship with representatives for fisheries and aquaculture sector. These are our long-standing partners without whom we simply can't function, and we know that. The industry representatives indeed present today from Federation of Aquaculture Producers and Europesh are crucial in bringing together the practical expertise implementation required to turn this transition in the reality, and also to shape effective and targeted policies for us. And that's why it would be very important and very useful to hear from you your hindsights, your insights, and as much as we can have the foresights of where we can go. Now, we've also heard today, not once, not twice, that we have to adapt the energy transition to the local realities. Or to translate, in other words, we have an approach that no one-size-fits-all solutions. We try to harmonize to gain efficiency as much as we can, but we know there are different realities, and those realities require different solutions. That's precisely why we need to zoom into some regional experiences, and that's why Brittany is one of the leading regions in Europe with very interesting pilots ongoing, and the fact that it's happening there in such an important maritime region for Europe, for us, brings a lot of food for thought and inspiration. At the national level, we have the Finnish government, which has been also quite proactive in preparing the pathway for their national fleet. And in fact, beyond, they held a conference in November, uniting Nordic countries around the energy transition in the fishing sector. And such a regional transnational cooperation is very good, because then you can design sharing of various infrastructures for the fishers traveling from one country to another to make sure that indeed there is a supply either of fuel, energy, shoreside electricity, or anything that is needed for the energy transition. So that's why Finnish experience is very useful for us. And also the cooperation and the transition doesn't stop at European borders. It is happening across the globe, because everybody seems to be facing similar issues. And also there is the whole wealth of ideas in other parts of the world that serve as a pool of these novel initiatives, technologies, and ways to shape the policies for the energy transition. And that's why OECD, and namely its Committee on Fisheries, with strong analytical capacities, is a key international organization for us, where we also draw inspiration, where we draw on the wisdom, and using their knowledge, the analysis, we design our policies here. So we have a very, very good panel here for the final thoughts today, and I wish you a nice discussion here. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Kęstutis. Now it's a great introduction to our esteemed panel now. So as I said, so we're going from local to global, and I will ask questions to each of you in turn. So maybe I can start with you, Javier, if I may, but the question is also to you, Javier, at the same time, so one after the other. So from the perspective of fisheries and aquaculture, how can these sectors strategically organize and coordinate their efforts to effectively drive the energy transition? Additionally, what potential benefits might arise from enhanced cooperation across member states in achieving the energy transition goals? So you will go first.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you very much to the European Commission for the organization of this nice event. I was wondering whether to speak in English or Spanish.
As you wish.
I decided that I was going to speak in Spanish for 3 reasons. It's my mother tongue. We have wonderful interpreters that are not working too much today because everybody's speaking English. And third is because after the performance of Bad Bunnies in the Super Bowl, there are thousands of people that want to learn Spanish. So I will do it in Spanish if you don't mind. Antes de entrar en la respuesta directa a la pregunta, me gustaría hacer 3 comentarios previos que creo que son muy importantes para no olvidar. En primer lugar, como se ha dicho a lo largo de la mañana, no partimos de cero. Según UNCTAD, la Organización de Naciones Unidas para el Comercio y el Desarrollo, la flota europea en los últimos años, desde los años 90 hasta hace 2 años, ha reducido un 52% sus emisiones de CO2. Y representamos, ojo al dato, el 0,01% de las emisiones globales de CO2. Es decir, dimensionemos el problema. Si desapareciera toda la flota europea, no nos enteraríamos desde el punto de vista de CO2. En segundo lugar, para afrontar la transición energética necesitamos pescadores y gente que tenga ilusión por seguir en el negocio. Por ello, no os olvidéis que lo venimos pidiendo desde hace mucho tiempo y se ha comentado aquí también a lo largo del día, es necesario urgentemente simplificar la normativa a través de un reglamento ómnibus y cambiar el rumbo de la política pesquera común a través de su evaluación ahora y reforma posterior. Necesitamos de verdad una inyección de ánimo, de ilusión y de esperanza a nuestros pescadores para que en 2050 puedan seguir existiendo y podamos hacer realidad esa transición energética. Yo tengo esa esperanza y creo que con el impulso del comisario Cádiz y de su equipo se puede conseguir en los próximos meses, pero hagámoslo antes de que sea demasiado tarde. Y en tercer lugar, hay que poner los pies en el suelo. Esta mañana hablaba con una armadora, son 3 mujeres que forman parte de una empresa que quieren construir un barco de pesca en España. Posiblemente sea el único barco de pesca que se esté construyendo ahora de bandera española en España. Es un barco que quieren hacer híbrido, con electricidad, y me dice, mira, tenemos un serio problema de espacio con relación a las limitaciones de la capacidad, también se ha hablado esta mañana con los GTs. El cuadro eléctrico de un motor híbrido ocupa más que uno convencional. En segundo lugar, queremos meter un captador de CO2, que en tierra se demuestra que funciona, pero al intentar meterlo necesitamos medidas de seguridad para el almacenaje de las botellas de CO2. Y no está contemplado en la normativa que ese tipo de utilización forme parte diferente del objeto de la capacidad. Y no han recibido ningún solo euro de ayuda. Es decir, cosas que tenemos que tener en cuenta para el futuro. Cooperación reforzada. Creemos que es fundamental para marcar la diferencia entre proyectos pilotos aislados y una verdadera transición a escala que pueda beneficiar a toda la flota europea. En nuestra opinión, si se hace así, debería reducir el riesgo de las inversiones, ampliar las infraestructuras, armonizar las normas para que los pescadores puedan adoptar esas nuevas soluciones más rápidamente y a menor coste. No nos podemos olvidar de los costes que todo esto implica. Y resumiría en 3 cuestiones. Un aprendizaje más rápido y una ampliación a escala. No hay que reinventar la rueda 27 veces. Si hay un Estado miembro que está trabajando ya en una línea de trabajo, ¿por qué no compartirlo con el resto? Trabajar a nivel regional y de cuenca marítima. Una infraestructura compartida y combustibles interoperables. Necesitamos que en los puertos haya esas infraestructuras que puedan suministrar la fuente de energía que tengamos en el futuro y luego igualdad de condiciones y regulación. Podría seguir enrollándome mucho más, pero voy a parar por aquí para que Javier, mi colega, pueda seguir contestando. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Javier, and I'm happy that you're also a fan of Bad Bunny, so that's... Javier,
okay, thank you very much.
From aquaculture point of view, please.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for inviting us here. I'm honored, and it's really a very timely and relevant conference for all of us. So, from the FEAP perspective, from the Federation of European Aquaculture Producers, our strategy to drive the energy transition relies on 3 pillars: specificity, demonstration, collaboration. Those are the 3 pillars in which we base. First, specificity. As has been already mentioned here today several times, aquaculture is not monolithic. It's very, very diverse throughout Europe. Our RAS system, recirculation aquaculture system, is different to a fish pond, and it's different to algae farming in the in the sea. So our first task when we started working in the ETP working groups was to map the these specific needs, having this map. And then we needed to ensure that the solutions that we seeked were tailored to the real world diversity of our sector. Second, demonstration. To drive real change, we must make the business cases visible, okay? We need to identify pioneers. We need to use platforms like the ETP. And then we need to share all these success stories. And we need to share not only the successful ones, but also those that didn't go so well, because there's always something to learn, even on those cases. But certainly, nothing convinces more a fish farmer than seeing that his neighbor and competitor is more efficient on whatever, including on energy use. And third, collaboration. Collaboration, we cannot decarbonize in isolation. That's something that we cannot do. We need a structural, permanent dialogue with our partners, with equipment manufacturers, to co-design more efficient systems, with the energy sector, indeed, to integrate renewables like wind or solar into our operations, and indeed, of course, with researchers. We need to integrate, we need to make sure that projects like High to Fish, that was explained today, in the case of aquaculture, similar ones, to find practical solutions to real industry problems. However, this collaboration, to be effective, needs a very well-structured sector. And I can say that for fish farming in Europe, we do have a structured sector. The farms are thinly dispersed throughout Europe. Then you have national associations in each member state, and then you have a strong federation, and this allows this cooperation to move fluently up and down.
Okay.
And about the cooperation between member states.
Yep.
Still have time?
Quickly, yes.
Yeah, okay. So we understand the full value of the single market. We have to work together to make sure that there's no creation of different markets because of different standards. And cooperation through the ETP really can help this harmonization in criteria and providing equipment makers the scale that they would really need. Furthermore, we all understand that cooperation lets us pool our knowledge, and that's very important. And I close with a final statement on this, that a united European action can give us global leverage on this topic. By cooperating, we can ensure that fish that is farmed in Europe becomes synonymous not only of having the highest environmental and fish welfare standards, but also with being the global leader in low-carbon, energy-efficient food production. And I'm not saying fish production, I'm saying food production, because we can really, on this topic, fish, both captured and aquaculture, can stand out in the global food production globally.
Great, thank you very much, Javier. That's a great ambition to have, I think. Yes, thank you for that. I see you brought your fan club along as well. Wait to the end. Oh, perfect. Yes. So, Timo, if I can now move to you. So, and here we're looking at local initiatives, and how can local initiatives in fisheries and aquaculture be scaled up to influence European energy transition policies, and how is Finland approaching this specifically, please?
Thank you, Stephen. So if I start about our approach, and maybe I will start by saying what we did when the Commission gave this communication 3 years ago. And we analyzed it, and we considered together with the sector that this energy transition is actually a big opportunity for Finnish fisheries sector, and it has to be achieved. And this is also an opportunity for maritime sector as well. So we consider it as an important part, and that's why we have identified energy transition as a key priority area of Finnish fisheries policy. And we developed national roadmap for fisheries energy transition, which gave us a solid information and knowledge what are the potential and what are the short and long-term actions to achieve the energy transition. And regarding the actions, we have 3 focus areas at the moment. First, we have tried to finance innovations and research activities, especially focused on how to improve the energy efficiency. And maybe I could highlight 2 of them, what has been achieved at the moment. One of the innovation project delivered so-called IoT, Internet of Things, fish counter for trap net fisheries in small-scale coastal fisheries, which reduced actually the fuel costs for fishermen by 30%. So it was a significant improvement. And another interesting project is a hybrid vessel, which is targeted for small-scale coastal and for inland fishing. And our second priority has been building networks, both national and also international level. And at the national level, we have tried to also get other actors than the usual suspects to this network, especially technological companies from the maritime sector and also this kind of research institutes. And regarding the cross-border cooperation, Kestutis already mentioned that we organized last year a Nordic Energy Transition Conference, and I think it was a very good event. And we were able to conclude or have a joint conclusions about the actions, what we should do, and joint understanding what are the pathways of this energy transition in Nordic level. And maybe I could also highlight that we also organize innovation competition in this conference, and it was actually won by a Finnish company called Elvene, which is actually building solar electric small-scale vessels. And it was quite impressive to see that this vessel can operate 200 nautical miles without charging, and it's already existing. So there are solutions already, even for small-scale fisheries, available. And our third focus has been bottlenecks, identifying the concrete bottlenecks, and especially how to find solutions to address these bottlenecks. And the biggest bottleneck, I think, what has been said already here quite many times, is financing, and especially access to capital. And regarding the access to capital, we have now making an amendment in our national legislation so that the transferable fishing concessions, which means ITQ system, could be used as a collateral for bank loans. Yep. And secondly, we have now launching a financial instrument, which is a loan guarantee program, which is funded from the EMFAF fund and targeted for fisheries and aquaculture companies. And the only limitation is that actually we cannot give loan guarantees for fishing vessels if the investment increase capacity or engine power. Okay. And thirdly, we have developed new kind of financial products for companies so that they could facilitate development work at the company level. And this new product is called Innovation Voucher. So they could, for example, carry out energy audits and make a plan how to improve their energy efficiency. Yeah. Yeah. And if I have time, I could maybe say a few words how to scale our approach in the EU level, very shortly.
Please, go ahead.
So I think maybe just to say that we have been quite active, saying that one of the biggest bottlenecks is this financing, and that's why we have proposed how the current EMFAF funding could be amended, especially that we could finance pilots using loan guarantees and maybe also small-scale investments. And I think this is extremely important because now we are creating new innovations which could be scaled in the next program period. And maybe second idea is this regulatory sandbox, which could be controlled environment where we could test these new kind of innovations and get the science-based evidence how they work in real-life conditions. And lastly, we have also expressed the idea that we should have a EU-level guarantee system regarding the energy transition because the resources at the national level are too limited. And lastly, I would like to just highlight that you don't get the wrong impression that we also considered very strongly that this energy transition cannot compromise the recovery of fish stocks, so everything has to be done in a sustainable manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Timo. A lot of great ideas there, yes. See, I told you this panel would bring a lot of ideas and energy, so I'm very, very grateful for that. But I said, when we prepared this, I apologized in advance that I would have to cut you short sometimes as well, so please do bear with me. But Claire Delpech, if I can now move to you, and let's get the OECD perspective here. So how do you see the OECD support member states in aligning their energy transition efforts in fisheries and aquaculture, also in view of the current context? So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Stefan. Well, it was apparent from discussions today that the energy transition of the sector is a priority both for the industry and for government. But it was also apparent that the challenges are important, varied, and to a large extent context-specific. So this, I think, brings two key challenges for governments. First, prioritization. How can regulation and public funding be best used to effectively and efficiently promote the energy transition in the sector, notably, as recalled this morning by Dalila Al-Khudairi, by leveraging institutional support to de-risk private investment and complement it, but where it's most needed. The second challenge we see is coordination and policy coherence. How to ensure that efforts in one country, or maybe one region or one continent, are not undermined by policies across the border or across the sea. And at the same time, how to make sure that policies that target the energy efficiency also come with benefits for stocks, biodiversity, and socioeconomic performance. So these questions are really at the core of the work we do now at the OECD because they're shared by most of our members. I think today is a testimony to the importance that is put on these issues in the EU, but we see similar questions and similar objectives in our other members like South Korea, Peru, Norway, or even the United States. In all these countries, at the request of the industry, governments are looking for ways to facilitate the energy transition. And so to support this process, we currently have two main initiatives. The first one is a tool we developed to assess support to fisheries, including the risks that it brings, and to outline the important elements to keep in mind to avoid unintended impacts of government support in terms of overfishing and illegal fishing. This is really important to keep in mind because even well-intended subsidies aiming to, for example, decrease the energy use in the sector come with a risk that by making fishing cheaper, they also make it more profitable and encourage overfishing and IUU fishing if fisheries are not well managed. It's actually now a legal obligation to make sure this doesn't happen because of the WTO agreement on fisheries subsidies. So it's really important to keep in mind. The second initiative is the development of a database of information on support to aquaculture. Quite surprisingly, given the growth of the sector, it happens that no organization maintains a record of such policies. And so there's very little information on what is being done to support the sector, and even less information on what works and what could support the energy transition. So we're developing a process and a method to collect this information in a systematic way to allow sort of comparative analysis across countries and time. And to finish, I would say that these tools are interesting to understand what is happening in the EU, but also what is happening outside the EU. And I think that's really important to the process that is taking place here. You may know that more than 90% of global aquaculture originates in Asia. So it means that whatever happens in the region, what policies are adopted in the region has very direct implications on the prospects for European aquaculture. And in capture fisheries, for example, if rules are adopted to reduce emission in fishing fleets globally, this will also have very direct consequences. So I think it's very important to keep in mind what is happening elsewhere.
Thank you very much indeed, Claire. And it's great to have the OECD perspective and realise we should look at what's happening outside the world as well. And as we know, we're in quite some turmoil in very various ways in the world at the moment. But now I turn to Claire, Adam. So and Claire, I'm looking to you to give the regional perspective here. So my question to you is, and based on your experience in Breton, how can regional authorities play a more significant role in setting the priorities, driving innovation for the sector's energy transition? And perhaps you can be more detailed on how Breton in particular is supporting the energy transition of its fleet and aquaculture operations there, please.
Thanks, Stephen. So when we talk about energy transition, regional authorities have a unique strength, which is proximity. And the proximity allows region to design an intervention policy that is targeted, practical, and economically coherent. So in Brittany, decarbonization is not treated as an isolated environmental objective, but it becomes a lever for local development, industrial innovation, and territorial resilience. If we talk about maritime specifically, Brittany has a systemic understanding of its ecosystem, the port, infrastructure, vessel nexus, and we know how those elements interact. Brittany applies an integrated and cross-sectoral strategy, and I'm going to give some examples. So as a ship owner of our own regional maritime transport fleet, the region is actively working on the energy transition of its vessels because we need to lead by example. In the commercial and fishing ports, the region is investing in energy transition planning and especially electrification and solar energy deployment, but also wind energy. In the fisheries sector, action is also concrete. So in 2022, the Regional Council launched 2 targeted calls for projects. You may have heard of them, Piloti and Esteban. And those projects aims to accelerate experimentation and aquaculture and fishing fleet transition through hydrogen. In 2024, the Regional Council adopted a dedicated fisheries roadmap, which, among other actions, supports the decarbonization of the value chain with particular attention to the fishing vessels. The region also supports innovating decarbonization solutions, pilot projects through EMFAF, and especially acting as the pilot authority for the national innovation part of EMFAF. And as Javier mentioned, we need demonstration to build business cases, and hopefully those pilot projects will come into life in the coming years. As Philippe mentioned, the HIBA project might be one of them, and they will be demonstrators for energy transition of the fishing sector. And finally, the region has seconded an officer to the Maritime Decarbonization Institute MIT 2050. So this institute aims to decarbonize the French maritime sector. It brings around the table all the actors of the value chain, of the maritime value chain, and it ensures direct coordination between policy, industry, and innovation. Regarding decarbonizing the maritime sector, and this secondment ensures that the fishing sector is also part of the collaboration. So regional authorities are not just implementing policies, they play a role in orchestrating territorial ecosystems. They connect funding, innovation, and local actors.
Great, thank you very much, Claire. Yeah. Well deserved. Super. Would any of the panelists like to react to what they've heard from the other colleagues or to add some more information at this stage? Is that a yes or no? Javier, no, all is clear. Okay. Very good. I understand, I think the audience must be tired because there are no Slido questions. Okay, that's the way it goes. But I have some questions for you, if I may, to wrap up. And that's also, I mean, because you've heard the whole day, lots of ideas. It's been a very, very intense day. But what for you, and I'll go through one by one, what for you would you consider are the main takeaways that you will take with you today? And also, how would you like to see the roadmap implemented to achieve your wish or your vision for the fishing and aquaculture fleet in 2050? And maybe I can start at the other end of the table now. So I'll start with Claire. Please share your final thoughts and reflections, please.
Okay, thanks. So as it has been said today a lot of time, the vessels are quite old. In Brittany, the average age is around 33 years old. And the majority of our ships are less than 12 meters. So when we talk about energy transition, when we talk about new technologies, that means probably more space. So fleet renewal will be probably a major aspect of it, but not only because of energy transition, but also if we talk about safety at sea, and I know it has been mentioned today also, energy efficiency, working conditions, and also attractivity. If we want to attract young people and women to our ships, to the sector, we need to have new ships and ships that are able to handle all the new challenges. And today, a lot of ideas have been shared. So spreading the knowledge, foster synergies with other sectors, upskilling people, coherent and targeted funding, and of course, infrastructure planning. And I'm optimistic for the sector, but I think we need to give it the means to be more resilient with positive signals, with clear decisions and a clear roadmap.
Great. Many, many thanks, Claire. Yes, you've passed the baton on to Claire again. So Claire, please, what would be, as you return to Paris, what will you be your takeaways, and what would you like to see by 2050?
Well, first, I would like to say that it's great to see this broad-based consultation. I said in my intervention that we see efforts in other members of the OECD, but I think that the scale of this consultation is quite unique to my knowledge, and so it's quite impressive to see that, and we're happy to be part of it, so thanks for the invitation. In terms of implementing the strategy and the roadmap, I would come back to international cooperation maybe. It was said in the introductory remarks that things can be learned, and that's very true, but also I think it will be key to avoid carbon leakage when you implement this strategy and to avoid unfair competition. And so it's important not just to have ideas, but also to make sure that what you try to achieve can be achieved, because when we talk about emissions, we talk about global issues, and it will be really, really important. So from that perspective, we look forward to continued cooperation with the EU members and other members of the OECD.
As we do indeed. Many, many thanks, Claire. So to Timo, the question passes to you now. So your main takeaways that you will take back to Finland, and what would you like to see as a vision or your wish for 2050?
I was actually listening to the book from our president, and I was thinking there was a very nice slogan which our president, Mr. Alexander Stubb, has given, which goes, dream, believe, work hard, succeed. And I think we are in the roadmap, we are at the moment in the dreaming phase, so we are building the vision. And I think it's important that we are quite speedily moving to believe, and especially the working hard phase now. And regarding the public sector's role, I think it's key that we are enabler of this transition. And I was so delighted to hear today that Charlina said that the Commission is open for thinking about how the financing should look like in the future, and whether even the EMFAF funding could be amended. And I think that's very, very, very positive. And also, I totally agree with that we should have a debate regarding how this capacity system works in practice in the future, so that on the other hand, ensure that we can secure the rehabilitation of fish stocks, but also that we can also advance the energy transition. But I think that also our role is to reduce risk, create predictability, and also make experimentation possible. And so my conclusion is that if we do all well and we work hard, we will succeed. It will be evident. Thank you.
Very good. This is a nice, indeed, yes. This is a nice banner motto to go ahead with, indeed. Yes. So from an aquaculture point of view, Javier, then what would be your takeaways? And we were always conscious to include, actually, when we initially started work on this energy transition, that it was important to also involve aquaculture as well in this. So I'm really pleased to see we've advanced that almost on the equal level on this. So
okay, that's appreciated.
Yeah.
Okay, so my takeaway messages, I'm not sure how many people are going to share it, but I'm here to deliver my views, okay? So the energy transition in the EU, in aquaculture at least, is not being held back by insufficient financing, no. It's not being held back by insufficient innovation, no. It's not being held back by insufficient training, generational renewal? No. I think we have to dig a little deeper. The problem here is that the EU is not business friendly, at least for aquaculture. If you have a good business, dynamic and profitable, the banks come, innovation comes, you improve the way you work things. But today, we are simply not business friendly. It's very difficult to do a business in aquaculture. If you have a farm, you have a stone there. You put it there because you need that space for something. You have to ask for a permit. Wait for 2, 3, 4 years just to move a stone. What investor is going to wait for that? Absolutely none. So that is the underlying problem. Until we face that, okay, we can have partial solutions to things, but we are missing the big thing. Okay, if you go to Norway, you have a thriving aquaculture. If you go to Turkey, thriving aquaculture, even in China. So the problem is not of aquaculture, it's a problem of the EU. And I'm not saying DG Mare, absolutely no. I'm talking about member states, the regions, and the European Commission, the Parliament, and the Council in global. I'm not going to go into many details. I think everybody understands. Many people talked about the problem with silos today. Silos are great for storing grain, but they're not good for policy making. So when we talk as federations, as industry, I believe that for any sector, today we're talking about energy transition, but we have to keep in mind nutritional values of the food. We have to talk about the use of space. We have to talk about many things. So we need to find solutions on the legislative side. But basically, that's my message. But nevertheless, I have a little paragraph here that I brought prepared, so I'm going to read it. Just it's short. Sorry. All right, so this was written before my explosion here. Before dropping the atomic bomb.
We thank you for being so open. So
okay,
please,
so for 2050, what we from FEAB would like to see, it's a European aquaculture being the global benchmark of low-carbon, high-quality food. But not because we were forced, but because we led. Okay, but this is the nice paragraph, right? You got my message before. All right.
Absolutely. This should be the motto for aquaculture in the future. Thank you very much again for being so open and exchanging your views on this as well. So Javier, from a Europesh point of view, please, the same question.
Thank you, Stefan. I will go home today with 3 takeaway messages. The first one, that we are not starting from zero. I already mentioned that, so I will not repeat it. The second one, implementation must be fit for fishing. What I want to say with this, that the energy transition will only succeed if it reflects the realities of fishing operations. Concerning technology pathways, we need to continue improving energy efficiency and deploy hybrid solutions where relevant, and continue scaling up the truly low and zero emission technologies. as they mature. They are not yet, so we need to work on that. Concerning ports and energy, we need to co-invest in port infrastructures and fuel availability. So vessels are not limited by geography or sea basin. And then something that was mentioned before, people and safety. We need to work on training, skills, and safety, and this must be fully integrated into every deployment of new technologies. The second takeaway is unlock cooperation and investment. I think we have talked a lot about that today. We need, the transition requires coordinated actions at all levels, local, regional, national, European Union, international, etc. We need to remove the regulatory barriers. And it was mentioned this morning, the capacity constraints is a reality. We need to remove that in order to avoid that vessels cannot install new technologies or they cannot be redesigned because they have the gross tonnage problems. And third, finance. The scale of the challenge goes beyond existing instruments. It's clear that EMFAF is not enough, and we are concerned about the future financial framework. So we need more money for that if we really want to continue with our intentions. I recommend you, by the way, to read the European Economic and Social Committee opinion on the decarbonization of the fleet. I was a rapporteur, and I think it was a very good report. and the last question you made, what does Europe expect from the roadmap? A roadmap that is truly implementable, built on real sector input through the ETP working groups that have been working, as we have been saying the whole morning, for 1 year at least. A roadmap that breaks down bureaucratic, financial, and technological barriers, rather than creating new ones. That's important. And today it was mentioned several times, an omnibus regulation, simplifying the regulations will be very welcome and needed. And a roadmap that translates ambition into action, with concrete plans for port infrastructures, fuel availability, and financing pathways. I think that if the roadmap delivers this, the fishing sector will be ready to invest, to innovate, and continue supplying the wonderful, sustainable, low-carbon seafood of Europe that we produce. And I will also go home with some hope, as I mentioned before.
Thank you very much, Javier, and great comments from all of you indeed. I mean, it's good to get these different perspectives. And of course, we've read the ESC opinion on decarbonisation, central reading for many of us as well, of course. So with that, let me a huge thanks again, and please join me to Claire, Timo, Javier, and Javier. Many, many thanks. Thank you very much. Timo, many thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you. Claire, thanks very much, Claire. Thank you, Claire. Oops, pardon. So that's great. Many thanks for staying to the almost the bitter end. That's great, and I think it illustrates actually the huge, interesting discussions and ideas that we've exchanged during the day today. Before I invite Charlene Vicheva to take the stage again to give some closing remarks, I'd like to launch a Slido again, dear old Slido. So please give your main takeaway of the day. I can range from you like the food or you found it very interesting, but please feel free to give your views and opinions on that to complement what has already been done. We will hide it a little bit and we'll show the results after we've had the closing remarks. So if I may invite Charlene to come and take the stage, or do you want to give your takeaway already, Charlene? Okay. Oh, very good.
Yes. So, thank you very much, dear colleagues, dear representatives of all stakeholder groups, for making today such a productive and rich day. When I was talking to Kęstutis, he shaped it in 2 words. Very interesting ideas. And this is what we need. And we organized the scale, as Claire was saying from OECD, a unique scale of consultation. It has to give birth to something unique. And I really trust and believe that. What we have to aspire is to get only the positive benefits. I was listening very attentively, and I was taking note on many of the contributions that I heard. I didn't manage to hear everything, but I'm sure that my colleagues are really taking good note of everything that came out of this discussion. And what I'm really happy is that we managed to touch base on all important building blocks in order to ensure the success. And that was Timo. It was actually the Prime Minister Stubb that was scaling up until we reach a success. So we need really all the building blocks. Whether we talk about technologies, whether we talk about regulatory bottlenecks or enablers, whether we talk about cooperation or funding. So these are the building blocks that we need in order to have a comprehensive, useful, implementable, fit-for-purpose roadmap. And I will try to keep to the 3, because all the previous speakers, and if you want to catch the attention of someone, don't go beyond 5. So 3, I think, is the best number of conclusions, takeaways, and we have to try and focus. So the first one is that, and I think it transpired from everybody's interventions. Energy transition is a complex endeavor. If we wait for the sector to take it up automatically, we are going to lose time, efficiency, steer, and we might not succeed, especially to counter some negative unintended effects. So what is really important is to have the systematic approach, the very inclusive but still leadership approach, and to dress it up with collaboration, consultation of a unique scale. So we need to be proactive. We need to really hit the problems and the targets. The proactive approach is inevitable, otherwise we just leave it on the flow and it is not going to happen the way we want. And the idea of the roadmap is exactly to bring this effect, to steer, to systematize, to focus, to bring implementable solutions. Secondly, we need a financially strong sector in order to have a really good and robust approach to energy transition. And here it is very much linked to, for example, the ceilings that Javier was talking, and I understand that during the afternoon there were mentions about the capacity ceiling. We have to reflect 10 times. Why did we have the capacity ceilings back in time? Because it was going in Olympic fisheries, in complete unprofitability and stock depletion. So we cannot go back to where we started. And the ceilings, they're just a freeze. They are not even the optimal denominator of the profit. And I want to underline, the profit comes from the fish we can fish, and then the denominator, you divide the profit by the number of vessels. So we should not lose sight of that. I'm sure that Javier probably meant the capacity for each and every individual vessel. But when we talk about constraints, I would also like to be quite diligent in remembering the figures, because at the moment, and we are doing all the studies, calculations, also from the evaluation point of view of the common fisheries policy, there is no constraint. There is free capacity, which on average is 2-digit. And per member state, it is for all member states, the capacity ceiling is not a real constraint. So the active vessels are with lower capacity than the ceiling. And again, the ceiling is not the optimum. So we really need to shape the problem first to ask our question whether it's really constrained, and then potentially think of dismantling something that drove the progress we have today since two decades ago. So really very, very careful narrative is needed. And talking about the denominator that shapes the profit for each and every vessel, I started from the fact that if we want to be successful with the transition, we need first to take care of the robustness of the sector. Because in the first place, there is no enough public financing, so we will always rely on private investment. The banks are giving loans. Even if you give a grant, it won't be 100%. So in order to finance the energy transition, we need the minimum financial robustness, which depends on many factors. But we will come back to that probably in the first week of March. And if we have a profitable and financially sound sector, this is the best label for the young generation to join the sector. Can you imagine a young entrepreneur joining unprofitable business? Whatever we do, even if we buy the best vessel, if this vessel has very little portion of the stock to fish, and it's so uncertain, and it's a struggle each and every day, then I don't think that we can attract the young generation to join, even with the best vessel we can insure. Then what it was said as part of the building blocks is that we need really good infrastructure. And there, again, we have to be very systematic. We need to bring the ports on board. We need to bring the energy sector on board. So we need a very coherent, collaborative approach there. And we have to take stock of everything that makes a piece of the mosaic. And the last takeaway is the fact that energy transition is a strategic endeavor, but it is part of an even bigger strategic picture. So that's why we were passing the message today that the energy transition has to become a piece and parcel of the bigger transformation process and the bigger vision for 2040 of our fisheries and aquaculture sector. And here, when we talk about the bigger strategic vision, I will come back again to what Claire said from our very important partner, OECD. We have to be comprehensive in establishing all the positive and intended effects of what we do in energy transition, but also to really explore and don't shy away from mentioning any risk of intentional effects that can undermine not only the energy transition exercise, but also the whole visionary strategic pathway that we are going to embark on. So these are probably some of the takeaways. I'm sure that the richness of this discussion is much bigger, and it will be reflected in all the notes that our team is taking, and also in your notes. But the bottom line is proactive, integrated approach, clever approach, forward-looking approach, and finding the root causes for any problems that needs to be fixed. We are absolutely clear from the aquaculture especially that the regulatory bottlenecks are there. That's why we also embarked on one of the guidance documents that deals specifically with that. Thank you, Javier, for recognizing that it is not enclosed in one or another level, but it is at local, at national, at regional, and at EU level. So what I can reassure you about is that we are very serious, and probably the best approach that we have undertaken in order to assess the administrative burden and the potential for simplification is to take it from the point of view of end user of these regulations. For example, from the point of view of a fisher. And this is the stress test that we do, because we can start from the regulations themselves. But actually what matters is how, layer over layer, these regulations impact the fisher as end user and implementer of these regimes. And we are very serious in this exercise. We will try our best. I will avoid pushing immediately to omnibus and so on and so on. For example, the control regulation, it was negotiated for 5 years. It came up from the co-legislators in 2023. So are we going to dismantle now anything that we have not started even implementing? We have to be bold, but we have to be bold, but we have to be also reflective of our real intentions, the intentions of our co-legislators, of the whole system that takes care of these sectors. And at the end, in order to be always on the positive, I will end up with the 2 announcements that I made, and I would encourage you, all of you, but also you as ambassadors to the sector, please apply for the projects related to our fisheries transition, our energy transition partnership, both for the champion project, but also for the project of ambassadors program pilot. Please remember that the awardees will be actually announced in the European Maritime Day, so anyone that wants to attend the EMD has to come to Limassol. So please use this opportunity, because these are 2 excellent projects to motivate innovation. These are the champions that we are going to select, but also it will motivate the member states to take their role of facilitator, promoter, and will focus their attention on the most important elements that the sector needs for accompanying the transition. And I will finalize with the nice scale of ambition and description from Timo: dream, believe, work hard, and succeed. And I'm sure that we are going to succeed with this unique scale of discussion that we trigger every time when we bring ourselves together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the team as well. Delila, Sven, and Stephen, thank you so much for your always very crafty leadership in handling the discussions. Thank you to all, and we will come back again to continue the discussion. Thank you so much.
And many thanks to you, Charlene, for your inspiration in leading this initiative. When I joined, when I first joined GGMI, it was not so long ago. Almost the first thing that Charlene said is, we need to do something on energy transition, and look where we are now. And it's been a great experience so far. I promised a Slido, so if you bear with me just a couple more minutes. So let's reveal. No, it's not that we want to reveal, but let's have some, what the main takeaways are. We are being kept in suspense, I think. Voila, okay. So here are the sort of some keywords that come out from all your various responses. Energy transition, of course. Blending, an interesting one. A roadmap. Yes, look forward to the roadmap, and we look forward to going beyond the roadmap and implementing the roadmap as well. So we're going to capture that, and as Charlene said, we will draft a report and share this with you of the main outcomes of all the various discussions. If you're not already done so, please sign up to join the Energy Transition Partnership, because then you automatically get all the updates. Allow me to extend also my many thanks to all concerned. Many thanks to the interpreters. I think they've done a fantastic job for those listening. Certainly I did. To my Maori colleagues who have sort of been working rather like a swan. So on the surface it's looked very smooth, but under the surface they've been paddling like a lot, to be polite. So in particular, Nathan, Manuel and Anna from DG Mare, but also Michaela and her team. Thank you very much, Michaela, from the assistance mechanism as well. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be the Master of Ceremonies today. So many, many thanks to all our speakers and all our panelists, and let's keep in touch. Thank you.